I think it doesn't look very good. Sorry guys, but my my virtual background is not working very well, so it kind of is going to look really strange, and I'm sorry about that. So how is everybody? Can everybody hear me? If you guys can hear me, can you put a 1 in the um, comments so that I know that you guys can at least hear me? Great. Well, I got my green screen finally. I've been debating on whether or not I was going to actually go live and actually show myself. I was really nervous about it, so I know it's probably not the safest thing in the world, but hey, I'm here. So, um, what I thought we would talk about tonight was the recent interview with Kegan stepsister that the murder sheet did. Now, the murder sheet has talked both to the stepbrother now as well as the stepsister. And I do believe that there is a lot of information that has come out that we can get some really good ideas about what was going on in Tony Kline's household. So first, let me welcome everybody who is here tonight. I really appreciate everybody showing up. AJ, thank you so much for showing up to mod for me. Tech Death, I'm so glad you're here as well. Hey, John, it's always good to have you here. I appreciate you. August, good to see you. Hey, gang, Monshare, all you guys, it's really nice to have you here as always. I appreciate you. So let's get started, I guess. We might as well. So first of all, the one thing that we did learn about the stepsister is that her name is not Emily Ann, and she wanted to remain anonymous. And I can't say that I blame her. I mean, I don't think that I would want to have my name and all of that out there. I'm a hey Lipsha, hey Captain, it's good to see you. Hey Miranda, so glad to have you. It's really good to see you, Captain. I have missed your videos, so it's really good to have you here. So anyway, her name is not Emily Ann. She wanted to remain anonymous. I can't blame her at all. And she basically did the interview and then they did a transcript of it, the murder sheet did, and then they just basically read what she said to them, which is basically what we're going to go over tonight because I just thought it was a really good way to get it out there. I'm sure a lot of you have already watched the murder sheet. You've probably heard the interview, but I thought it was a good thing for us to go over and discuss it, okay? one of the things that she did say right off the bat was that she was never sexually abused by Tony Kline. So it seems that the Emily Ann scenario about this case is probably a figment of the imagination of the creator, Kegan, is what I'm assuming here. Or I suppose it could be Tony, depending on which one of them or if both of them were talking as Emily. And that's going to be, I think, hard to prove. But I think that's one of the things that law enforcement's really trying to work on, is trying to figure all of that out. And I just don't think it's as easy as one might think. Hey, Mike, good to see you. So glad that you're here. So she, I just, like I said, going over her anonymity, I can completely understand why she wouldn't want to put that out there. But she did say that she wanted to speak up and she wanted to help. She was hoping that by doing the interview, it would help bring other people forward that may have had interaction with Tony, Kegan, or the Anthony Shots profile, that would tell their stories about their interaction with the two of them. So, and she said since Bart, her brother, had already done it, she felt that she should stand up as well. And so, I think that we should commend her for that, because she talks in this interview about some of the most horrendous of abuses, in my opinion. I can't get over the abuse that these children went through that lived in this house with this man. I'm still just shocked by it. So anyway, sorry. I'm just looking at my notes because I've got a whole bunch of notes. She said that they were, she thinks that there's a lot of people that could be extremely terrified about coming forward. And I understand that as well. I think that given the nature of this man and how he treats people, and especially these people, I wonder if there are other people in his life that he's also treated this way. This is some of the most horrific of abuses that I can't even imagine. And he didn't go to jail for many of them. And I think that that says a lot about law enforcement in Peru, Indiana, and young America. So I'm just going to put that out there, right now. And I know that in small town America, a lot of things happen that's completely different. They wouldn't happen in a bigger city by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's just super sad. So she starts out, and she said that she hopes that this is going to bring up more people. Monshare, I'm just going to say, I don't watch The Shattered Mirror. I think that's absolute not worth watching. I don't like to bash other channels, but that's one channel that I will say anybody who is into fact-based information on Delphi needs to stay away from that channel. So that's what I'm going to say there. So going back to the interview, her mom married him when she was little. She couldn't remember exactly, but she thinks somewhere around 2, the age of 2, is when they were married. She said her early memories were living in a white house in Peru. And She thinks that she was about 4 and how much he would abuse them. Those are her earliest memories. And, oh, you're welcome. I'm always honest. You'll find that out. And I'm pretty outspoken as well. It can get me into all kinds of trouble. So she said that he would smile at you and then the next minute would be a totally different person. It was physical abuse that she suffered, and they suffered, her mother and her brother, at the hands of Tony Kline. And she said that she didn't know some of this until it came out, but he punched her when she was 4 years old in the face and gave her a black eye. I just can't even. I have a 4-year-old grandson. I can't imagine anyone punching him and giving him a black eye, especially someone who's supposed to be caring for him. And it just is mind-boggling. But anyway, she asked her mother about that, and she said it was over a Tupperware party that his mother was giving. And her mom wanted to go, and she wanted to take her daughter with her. And he was furious. And so he punched her, gave her a black eye, and then proceeded to beat her mother up. And it was just over that situation about wanting to go to a party that his own mother was throwing. Just incredibly sickening. She did find a picture of herself, she said recently, going through photographs of her holding Kegan when he was a baby and her recovering from that black eye. So you could see that black eye in the photos. Or in the photo. The violence, she said, continued, and it was throughout her entire childhood. The entire time that she lived in that house, the violence was there, and it transpired, it sounds like, pretty regularly. She said that the incident with her brother and the toilet that we all heard about already, hey country girl, that she was sitting outside that bathroom in the hallway with her hands over her ears, praying, basically, just trying to be invisible and hoping that he wouldn't come out and bring his rage onto her. She also remembers the beating that her mom took that time, and she was actually in the middle of cooking dinner when this all happened with the bathroom incident, and he didn't like what she had planned to make for dinner, and he forced her hands inside of the oven, and she said that her mother's hands were scalded, and she remembers the police were always coming to their home, and he always told the police, oh, I just didn't take my medicine, and I'll make sure that I start taking it. And they would just say, Tony, you can't do these things. You can't do this shit. And they would tell him to knock it off. And then they would just leave. Digital, I don't know if the warrants actually show up in my case. I think they do. I'm just saying that because I remember when the warrant was issued recently for one of the YouTubers, it was there. So it appeared there. So you might check my case. So the police were just basically telling him to stop, and that was all they were doing, which I find extremely suspicious. I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's I would think if the police were coming quite often to a home where they know that physical abuse is happening, that they would be, I don't know, more apt to be doing more than what they were doing. Does that make sense? So who knows? And so, yeah, he said and told everybody he was bipolar. And she said he always was talking about it. He said he was bipolar. He had to take his bipolar medications. And obviously, there were times when he was using the excuse that he did not take those medications. She said she felt that was his way of getting away with abusing them. And that was just his way. So you would think, like I said, that law enforcement would have taken this more seriously, and she said that as well, that you would think that law enforcement would take it much more seriously. She said maybe child abuse was so common that they were just not going to arrest somebody every single time they came out. I don't know. I mean, it sounds to me like they were constantly there. They were constantly being called out to his house. I just think they would have taken the child abuse more seriously than they did. And then she goes on to say, well, maybe he had people in law enforcement that he could manipulate in some way and just turn around and turn a blind eye to what was happening. And we know, and I know for a fact that he did. He did have friends in law enforcement, and he had a good friend in law enforcement in that city. So anything's possible. They may very well have turned a blind eye to what was happening in Tony's case. And I found that out through my own investigation. So that's back when, you just go looking through everything, all social media and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, and I think it's been talked about by other people. I know True Crime Maria made a video about it, about him having a friend on the force. So yeah, it's out there. We know that he did. Which is sad when you stop and think about it. Who would in their right minds cover up knowing that these children were being horrifically abused by this person? Friends or not. I mean, come on. She said she had no answer for that. She herself did not know if he had friends on the force or not, but it wouldn't surprise her if he did or didn't. She said that she just didn't know. And she also said that as soon as she got to be basically 13 years old, she just decided she could not take it anymore. She could not take the abuse. And she asked her mother if she could go live with her father, and she did. And she very rarely saw her mother after that until after the basically till after she got out of school, I'm assuming. She goes on to say that she has a really good relationship with her mother, and she's very close to Bart, and that she talks to her mother every day. So I'm assuming that they, whatever relationship issues they may have had back then, she has actually repaired them. So she said she wanted to get as far away from the whole situation as she could. She was absolutely terrified. She couldn't live or breathe in that house without fear of being horrifically abused. So I can't imagine living in that terror every single day. It's just unimaginable to me. I mean, if anything, we know just from these two accounts from these kids that this man is as evil as they come. I think that's a given. No matter what or if not, he is anyway tied to the Delphi murders. This man doesn't belong on the street. He belongs in jail, in my opinion. um, she said at times they would have to go to school, showing the ravages of being beaten, the bruises, the bumps, scrapes, whatever, black eyes. And she said, I do think that people knew what was happening to us. And she said it affected her schoolwork. How could it have not? I imagine it affected her entire life. And she said she just doesn't think that people knew how to stop it or to help them. And I think that's sad, in this day and age. Yeah, I know this was years ago, but it's still to think that this goes on, and it's just really sad. So, um, Kevin asked the question of her, I guess I'm wondering what sort of face Tony presented to the outside world. If he was like this at home. Hey, Jack, good to see you. Um, and it's like, you would think that people would do more or want to do more and not turn blind eyes to this stuff that's happening. And I guess that's true. Yeah, Tech Death, you're probably right. Um, she said that she remembers on this one particular time that they had a neighbor kind of party where they invited the neighbors over into the backyard, and they were preparing food. So I'm assuming it was like a cookout, is what I would think, that they were having, which we have quite regularly here in the Midwest. It's something that we do. Neighbors, family, we just do cookouts. It's just who we are. So anyway, those kind of people. And so she said that the neighbors had come over. There was food. There was this big table in the backyard that had all the food on it. And she proceeded to sit down at the head of the table. And when she did that, that was his seat. And she did it, she said, as a joke. And he asked her to get up. And she just said, make me. And he flipped that table up on end with all of that food on top of her in front of everyone. Everyone. This little girl. And I'm just thinking to myself, who does that? What type of person does that? I just can't get it. It doesn't compute, I guess, in my brain. And everyone was like, "Are you kidding me, Tony? You can't act like this." And people would just tell him that all the time. She said, "You can't do these things. You can't act like this." But he still went ahead and did. Okay, Tech Desk. And but she said that, you know, that's what they would tell him, and then they would go ahead and just mind their own business and just turn a blind eye and not pay attention, that every day he was beating her brother and his mother, or their mother. And Kegan never got a hand laid on him that she ever remembers, ever. And she said her brother obviously has his own memories, but she considers her mom and herself got the brunt of the abuse. And that leads me to believe that Tony Kline has a problem with women. And maybe them being weaker in his mind, I don't know what that might be, but that's what that leads me to believe. Not just the fact, because the worst of the abuse happened to them is why I feel that way. Not because of any other reason than that. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. And I agree with you, country girl. He never had any consequences. That man's never been held accountable for anything in his life. And it's just crazy to me. Crazy. She said she couldn't, this got me when she said this part. She said, "I was a small child. I couldn't stand up for myself. He knew I was weak. He knew he could take me. Um, and he knew that he was more powerful than her." And I was like, and if I look, she said, if I looked at him wrong or I stepped wrong towards him or anything, I would get beaten. And I'm like, she was a child. Of course she was weaker, or she was, um, you know, he could take her. I mean, what grown man couldn't take a child? I was just surprised by that. Kevin asked her if her father, her natural father, knew about this abuse going on, and how did he feel about it? You know, what was happening there? And she said, well, she imagined that he didn't like it very much. And that's when she talked about that when she got to be 13 years old, that she went to live with her father, because she couldn't live around Tony anymore. She told her mom, "I'm done. I have been through enough. I'm done." Thank God she had the strength to do that. So she said that she lived with her father for the rest of the time until she turned 18 years of age. And she said her relationship with her mom is good, and that they do talk every day. Her older brother, Bart, they actually have a wonderful relationship with. She didn't talk a lot about what kind of a relationship she has with Kegan. I don't think it's as close. And I also think that she sees that relationship between Kegan and Tony differently, in my mind, I'm thinking, rather than what, hold on one second, I'm getting a message, hold on. Like, what is that? That's weird. Yeah, okay. So anyway, she said that her relationship was different with Kegan. And Kevin went on to say that living with Tony and growing up with Tony sounded like an absolute nightmare. And she said talking with or he said talking with Bart and now talking with you, it just sounds like Tony was truly a violent guy. And she said he really is a textbook sociopath, which I get that. I can see that so easily with everything that um, that we're hearing. Um, so Kevin asked, well, what else would he do that would give you that impression? And she said that they ended up moving from Peru to Young America. They called it the Brown House. And she said she thinks she was somewhere between 9 and 13 years of age. And he was out in the backyard with a BB gun and said, start running to her. I'm going to shoot you. And she said, no, you're not. And he said, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to give you a head start. He pumped the BB gun as she ran and he shot her. One of the BBs lodged in her her elbow, and she said that her mom had to take her to the emergency room, and she had to have surgery to have this BB removed from her elbow because it was embedded in the bone. And she had to lie and tell them that he was actually shooting at the garbage cans in the backyard, and they ricocheted off of that and actually hit her, which was not the truth. She told us what transpired there. And she said that she had to have the surgery to have it removed. She said he is a psychopath. He has to have, in her opinion, he has to have multiple personality disorder. She goes, he can switch from Mr. Nice NASCAR guy, cool guy, and all being into cars, but mess with me or catch me on a bad day, and he's very unpredictable. She said, who knows what he's capable of doing if you catch him on that bad day. He would kill animals in front of her. She said that was not uncommon for him to do. She had a memory of one time he was digging a hole to put a cat in, and the cat started to come to, so the cat wasn't dead. And this breaks my heart. It's just, I love cats. So, I mean, I love all animals, but just to hear this just so upsets me. But anyway, the cat was starting to come to, and he took the shovel and just started beating it and bashing it in the head to make sure that it was dead. And he did this in front of her. She said animals were no more safe around Tony than people. Kevin asked, well, would he kill family pets? And she said that he did kill one of their family dogs. He shot it. She goes, I'm not sure what the reason was. She goes, this memory is not a memory of mine, but a number of people have told her this story within the family and said, don't you remember him shooting that dog? He just went out there and shot it. She said that this is so creepy to even talk about. It just really, really, really bugs me. I know, Lipsha. I've listened to it twice. I always listen first, and then I go back and I take notes. The first time I listen to it, that's just kind of how I am. I just want to listen and kind of, take everything in. Hey, August. Hey, Joe. Welcome. Glad to see you here. And I'm like, it's better for me to do it that way. I get more out of it. But the first time I heard it, I was so sick at my stomach. I had to turn it off and then start listening some more and then turn it off to just kind of wrap my head around of what this poor girl was going through, that nobody wanted to help her. I mean, nobody. Um, so this is the other story that just totally and absolutely floors me. I know she says she doesn't think that this is sexually motivated, but I'm going to say I don't buy that. But anyway, here we go. She said that he would come home from work every day and sit in his recliner and make her take his shoes and socks off. And then every morning she would have to get up, put his socks on, put his shoes on, and tie them for him. And I'm like, that is just crazy. I don't know. She said he always made her rub his back whenever he was watching WWE. He would get down on the floor and lay on the floor, and she would have to rub his back the whole show. She said it was not sexual, but it was creepy. Sorry, I disagree with her on that one. And she said you just had to do what you were told, and if you didn't, you would get beaten. So there wasn't any, well, I'm not going to do that, because you get probably slapped across the room. Her mom told her a story about one time she smarted off, and he went and got a bar of soap and made her eat it. And as she's doing this, as she's eating this bar of soap, Tony looks at her and says, well, how do you like it? And she said that she turned her head and she looked at him dead in the face and said, I love it. And he made her sit there and eat the whole bar of soap. She said that one night in Peru, was the middle of the night, and for whatever reason, he made them all get out of the house. He kicked them all out of the house, made them go get in the car to sleep. And a couple of hours later, he comes out of the house and makes them get out of the car. And so they're all standing outside in the driveway of the house in the middle of the night. And he jumps in his truck and starts to peel out and sprays them, all of them, with gravel. And she said her mom just looked at him and said, just go in the house and go to bed. And I mean, it's just stuff like that. I mean, this man sounds like a complete and utter psychopath. I mean, I just can't imagine these stories of the things that, and the terror and the violence that he inflicted on these people. He is not a good guy. He is not a good guy. Now that just because he's not a good guy doesn't make him bridge guy. It doesn't make him the killer in the Delphi murders. I am not here to say that. I'm just saying this guy is violent, and this guy probably is capable of doing just about anything. It's just sad. It breaks my heart to think that these poor children from the age of 2 for her, were subjected to this horrific abuse every day of their lives. And I know they're not the only kids out there that have to go through this, but to hear this and know, that now she must be in her 30s and she's survived this and she's able to talk about it and to come forward now about it because of everything that's come out with Anthony Schatz and Kegan. She said her mom is embarrassed about even being the mother to Kegan right now. I can't imagine how that has to feel. I've often wondered if it's possible that all of this stuff that's come out since December put such a stress on his dad that's why his father passed away in February, just last month. So you got to wonder. I mean, you've got elderly parents and they don't probably have any clue. I mean, I know from what they've said that these people knew that he was abusive and they knew that he was doing these kinds of things. I don't think they knew anything about the CSAM. I don't think they knew any of that stuff. But that's the stuff I'm talking about that they've learned about that I think may have just put an undue stress on them. I don't know. I know it would for me if I found that out about a close family member or a child. It would be devastating news to get, to hear that. So, I think we learned a lot in her interview. Kegan was the golden boy in Tony's eyes. He could do no wrong. Bart said in his interview that he never really saw Kegan get disciplined. He was allowed to pretty much do whatever he wanted to do. And one of the things the sister said is that she does not believe Kegan's story that Tony has basically cut him off since the raid on Tony's house in November that we're aware of. She doesn't believe that. She thinks that they're still in contact with each other. So she said that her mom is not going to talk about the case. She's not going to be interviewed or talk about it because she just feels such shame for everything. So, I feel bad. I feel bad for them because it had to have brought up a lot of very painful memories. Country gal, I so agree with you on this. Hang on a second. I just want to flip that around. She says, how is this guy out on the street with all the knowledge that they have? Isn't there something they can put him in prison for? You would certainly wonder if there isn't something that they could do. I think that we know that law enforcement is still has Tony under surveillance. From everything that I've been able to figure out, they are still watching him. And John says that he hopes that law enforcement is tracking their communications. I guarantee you that if there's any communication happening in prison or in the jail in Peru where Kegan is at, sorry, my hair is driving me crazy. I apologize. So if they're having communication at the prison, I know I was floored to find out that they can actually text in prison. They actually give them some device to where they can send texts and talk to people. I guess things have really changed in prison. It used to be you could get one phone call or 2 phone calls a week or something like that. I don't even remember what it was. I've never been in prison, but that's what I always had heard. And I know that, it's just to me, it's just really mind-boggling that these people are supposed to be going away And jail's not supposed to be a fun place. It's not supposed to be a place where you can get out and be on the internet and do all these other things and text. And I don't know. I just have a problem with that. And to give somebody the ability to do that when you know why they are in there, I would have to say, John, they're tracking his communication. Maybe they want him to talk to people. Maybe they are hoping that he will let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, and make a mistake. And I don't know, it's quite possible that that's what they're doing. They're allowing him a little bit extra freedom or something. I don't know. But if Tony is visiting him, he used to visit him up to 3 to 4 times a week, according to Kegan. Kegan said that that's how often his dad would see him, and then they would talk every day. But yeah, they are going to be monitoring all of that. They're going to be monitoring mail, anything that gets sent to him, anything that he sends out. I'm assuming all of that has to be looked at by somebody, because I do believe that they think that there's somebody else involved in all of this besides these two. I keep going back to that. I don't believe for a minute that it's just Kegan and Tony. I just don't. Not with everything that we've learned about the CSAM investigation being the largest in Indiana history. I just think that there's more going on here than we know. I've said it before. I think this case is full of layers. It's kind of like an onion. And you have to peel those back and kind of take a look at everything. And when all this stuff came out in December, I made a point of saying we should all go back to the beginning of the case. And that's, when I made up my mind that I was going to start the YouTube channel, I thought to myself, what's the best way to do this? How's the best way to start my channel? Because there's a lot of channels out there that do this. There's a lot of channels that do Delphi, for God's sakes. We know that. And I'm like, what can I do to help better understand perhaps what's going on in this case? And I thought, start at the beginning. Kristen, just go back to the beginning and tell the story, which is what I did. My very first video is the beginning. And it's one of my highest viewed videos. So obviously a lot of people wanted to know all the stuff that happened way back when. And I've actually followed the case for 5 years. I was working at the time that the murders happened and the girls went missing. And I was in my office, and I had 3 computers in that office. And one of my computers I had pulled up our hospital's Facebook. And we had a Facebook page, and I pulled it up. And when I was in there, excuse me, I had to get a drink of water. When I was in there looking at it is when the alert came in that the girls were missing. We get a lot of the same news in our area. I only live a couple of hours away from Delphi. So I was like, oh my gosh. So that's where I was. That's when I heard about it. And I followed it ever since. And I know a lot about the case because I decided that I was going to follow it. And the best way to do that was to try to just deep dive into as much information as I could find, whether it be newspaper, reporters' accounts, law enforcement interviews, family, what the family was saying. all of that. And I'm a old school girl that believes in writing everything. So I actually have, you're going to laugh at me, but I'm going to show you. I actually have about 9, I guess now I have about 11, but I have about 11 of these notebooks that are just full of where I've taken people who follow me on Reddit and, hey Grizz, thanks for showing up. I hope you're doing well this evening. Anyway, if you know how I run the Delphi Daughters sub on Reddit, you'll know that I'm really big on doing transcripts of everything. I did a full transcript of the HLN special Down the Hill, and that took me days. And I just went in, I listened to it, and I said I'm old school, so I know shorthand, and I just took shorthand of it all, and then I went and transcribed that, and I put that out on my subreddit. Sorry. And anyway, so I'm big on handwriting everything. And what don't you understand about Reddit, Joe? What is it that you don't understand about Reddit? I'm interested. Tell me. Reddit is for readers. Reddit is for people who love to read. It's exactly what it's for. People who don't want to watch videos, people who don't want to see pictures, people who just want to read. And so that's the difference between Reddit and YouTube, in my opinion. Because on YouTube, you're getting all the visual. You're getting, videos created. You're getting live streams like I'm doing and all of that. And a lot of people like to turn on YouTube and do other things. They may, clean their house, or, they may put on a headset and go running, or they may, whatever the case may be. That's what people do with YouTube. There are also, some YouTubers have really long lives, 4 hours. I can't even imagine. I think my longest live has been 2, and I was so tired after it. I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, I don't know how these people do it for that long of a period of time. It's very difficult. There's a lot that goes into it, but so how do you use Reddit? You just create you're going to create a persona on Reddit. You just go in there, and you can download the app for Reddit, and all you have to do is go into whatever subreddit, because that's how they break them down, whatever subreddit that you're interested in. And if it's Delphi, the largest subreddit is Delphi Murders. They are extremely strict in that subreddit, so you have to be really careful about things that you comment, or my earrings on my ears are bugging me tonight. Or you have to be careful about what you post. So you can comment on other people's posts. A post is something that someone writes. And it could be a topic like with Delphi, it could be a topic like tonight, stepdaughter's interview per se. And maybe I picked a few things out of the interview that I thought were extremely important topics, and I bullet them and put them, whatever. And then I post that into the subreddit, and then the people who are members and join that subreddit comment, just like you guys are commenting tonight in my live, or you comment under my live after I post it. That's the same thing that happens on Reddit. And then people feed off that. So as someone comments, someone else might comment to them, and then you end up with a discussion. You can also end up with a fight. That happens a lot. Yes, it can be like an old school type outline. A lot of people they just write stream of conscience is what I found on Reddit. A lot of people don't form, it's not formal kind of writing. Some people do, but a lot of people don't. So don't be afraid to use it, or to try it out. You might find out that you actually like it. There's a lot of aspects about Reddit that I like. There's a lot of aspects about Reddit I hate. The same with YouTube. It goes, both ways. But one of the things that I've always found interesting about this conversation with Reddit and YouTube is that YouTube hates Reddit and Redditors hate YouTubers. And you'll find that when you go over there. And you'll see it. You will see it. And it's just funny. So, but I still, like I said, I still run my sub Delphi's Daughters over there. And I have some really good moderators that help me, because since I started doing YouTube, it's really been a lot, and I haven't had as much time to do the writing that I used to put into. Digital, what old press conference are you looking for? On my subreddit, if you go to my welcome post, that's the very top post on my sub. If you go into that post, I have all of the press conferences saved in that post. You'll find all of the law enforcement interviews. You'll find all of the press conferences. You'll find all of the interviews with family members. And I have those all linked in there. So all you have to do is click on them and you'll go to whatever it is you're looking for. It'll take you to them. There's a wealth of information on that. That document alone took me about 2 weeks to complete. I mean, there's a lot of information in there. I've got, there's newspaper clippings, there's news reports. Hang on a second and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Give me a second. I just got to pull up Reddit. On February 22nd of 2017, let me see if I can find it. Hold on, okay? Just, guys, give me a minute. Ew. Dave Burston. Delphi Daughters. Oh, I have mail. I haven't been in here for a day. I need to figure that out. Hold on here. Yeah, I have. I'm just gonna share my screen here. Hold on a minute. I just got to get that closed. Okay, give me a minute here to share my screen with you guys. And I will show you how it works. Okay, so let's see. All right, so here is, first of all, let's close out of this. So this is the way that my sub looks when you look at it and you view it on a desktop, because I'm on a desktop. This is not the same as what you'll see if you're using your phone or an iPad even, or a reader or whatever it is that you're accessing Reddit with. It will look differently, but this is it. And as you move down through my sub, when you start, you're going to see these things right here, and those are considered posts. These are all posts. This area here is an actual live, as it says right here. It's a live chat area where you can come into the lounge at any time and start a live discussion amongst the members. All kinds of things can happen in there. Oh, darn, somebody just posted to me. So, so anyway, these are all my posts, and I do a Today is the Day Justice for Abby and Libby post. Taking a lot of flack for those, but I do still do those posts. Anyway, so that's what a post looks like. So say one grabs your attention and you're like, oh, I want to comment on this. I love it. So you open up the post and you see this. This is my Today is the Day for Libby and Abby. And I just put that in there, and then it just says, don't stop believing, justice is coming. And then there's nobody commented on this post. But if you wanted to comment, you would just come in here, right here into this box, and type your comments or what you're thinking. And that's how that works. So let's go up here. Digital is looking for what Dave Burston said on February 22nd of 2017. So let's go find that interview or presser. So let's see. Here's the scanner audio. Here's the detailed timeline of the case. This is a really good timeline, guys, if you're looking for one. That's a really good one. Here's all the media imagery and the suspect of Bridge Guy. All of that is located here. I guess I should take this stuff off since they've removed it all. I probably should remove that. I just haven't. Let's see. Here's April 22nd press conference updates. So here's all of what happened on April 22nd with the new sketch being put out. Here's all the facts that we know in the case. These are unverified things, and these are rumors. These are the terrain videos that Hoosier Cold Case did. I'm so glad he's back on YouTube. I saw that he's starting to upload some of his old videos, and I'm hoping that these are back up soon because they're wonderful. Here's some of the news links from all the news coverage, and here are the interviews with the Patties, Kelsey German, Anna Williams, Carrie Timmons, Robert Ives, James Renner interviewed everybody, Jerry Holman's, Doug Carter's. Here's the press conferences. So here's the 222 presser. And this is the one that Digital wanted us to play.
Investigate this case, but also their willingness to give us information and anything that we have asked, including this church, today for the press conference that Pastor Todd has given us. And of course, we want to thank the Delphi United Methodist Church for this facility today. Again, I would like to thank everyone who's given donations and any general support to this investigation. I would also like to thank in advance the person who's going to call our tip line and give us that tidbit of information that's going to lead to the arrest of the murderers of Libby German and Abigail Williams. And I would like to thank the media for their patience. I understand there's information that you'd like to get to your subscribers, get out into the media, but as you know, we have information that's germane to our investigation that we have to be close to the vest, because this investigation is too important to make any mistakes and give out the wrong information. So again, I thank you for your support and your patience as we go through this case. There are a couple of acknowledgments I must introduce today, a couple of folks, department heads that are here. We have Delphi Mayor Shane Evans, Carroll County Prosecutor Rob Ives, Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby, Delphi Police Chief Steve Mullen, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter, FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge Greg Massa, and Captain Dave Burston, Chief Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police. Obviously, the reason we're here today is to give out information in double homicide, Liberty German and Abigail Williams. On February 13th, Abigail Williams 13 and Liberty German 14 went on a hike at the Delphi Historic Trails.
Okay, Digital. It is. I run into this every once in a while when I play a video on StreamYard. But all of my audio is turned up as high as it will go, both on my computer, on here, as you can see, it's full. It's all the way up, and all I can tell you is try to turn up your headset. If you can listen to it with a headset, maybe instead of whatever speaker you're listening to it through, because I can't make it any louder than it is. Some of them come out really loud, some of them don't, and I don't know why. I apologize for that.
On February 13th, they were reported missing later in the afternoon when they failed to return to a pickup location. The family member returned to pick them up from the hike. After organized searches on February 14th, one of those search parties unfortunately found the bodies of the two teens. Evidence in this case has led investigators to believe this is a double homicide. That's what we're investigating at this time. Also shown in front of me is an enlarged depiction of the person believed to be the suspect in this case. We are actively looking for this person. We believe this person is our suspect. And we would like any information, regardless of how small or minute you might believe that information to be. It might be the one piece of a very large puzzle that helps us get this person in custody. So please call our tip line, 844-459-5786. Again, I would like, as we go through this press conference, to remind the media there's going to be information that's germane to our investigation that we're not going to release today. That at the end of the press conference, we will have time for questions and answers. So as we go through our speakers, I ask you to please hold your questions to the end of the press conference. So at this time, I would like to invite Indiana State Police Superintendent Douglas Carter to the podium. Which tend to state during those periods of time, and maybe in a couple of other situations in my lifetime. From every standpoint, so why Libby? Why Ed? Why Delphi? Why Carroll County? Why the region? Why the state? Why the nation? Say that because this is a classic example, a clear example of people with emotions. To the family, the community, region, state. We are the guests of the state. So, sorry. Resources. It's unlikely that any of you will ever see, nor will we ever see or experience again, the level of resources that are attached to this investigation. To the media. My gosh, all I can say is my sincere thanks. See, this isn't like TV. There's a perception that this can be solved very quickly, anything can be solved very quickly. This is a testimony that we can do. We've needed you since last week. Today we will be tomorrow. And likely we'll need to meet you all across this nation. So for a simple guy like me to do that same thing. For people dressed funny like me and those who represent the law enforcement profession, please understand what we're doing is just like it's an elimination of standing crime. And I would suggest to you that every time something like this happens, it will be some of those guys as well. I also want you to understand how committed we are as a collective one. As a collective one, and we will continue. This has been briefed all the way up to the director of the FBI, Director Comey, Greg Masters, going to talk a little bit about that. I had an opportunity to speak to my boss about the whole a couple of different times about the situation. And every time I do, I see this look that comes over his face, just like yours in this community. And that's the unfortunate experience with people. We're not going to stop. The poster in front of you. Someone knows who this individual is. Someone knows who this individual is. Is it a family member? Is it a neighbor? Is it an acquaintance? Is it an associate? Or maybe that one guy who lives over at that one place that just kind of not. Maybe it's his jeans. Maybe it's his jacket or his sweatshirt. Maybe it's his shirt tail. Maybe it's his posture. Maybe it's the right hand in his pocket. You see, even with technology, we need even intelligence. In other words, I'm not suggesting that science, that everything that we can do is science, has been done. Because we guys getting started. Abby and Libby deserve us. Deserve every single one of us. Not just the people that have so much of their lives, not just this, but to this profession. And every person listening, watching, or seeing this in some form needs you. Libby and Abby need you. Please do not rationalize tips away. Rationalize what you think that might not be important away. By thinking he would never do that to another human being. Or think what I know doesn't matter. Like folks, like the people that are standing behind me, with such incredible passion, commitment, and dedication in this profession with that determination. Tips are anonymous. Some might not want to talk about it because they don't want to get involved. Because they know the individual. Again, maybe a family. Probably his family. No one will ever know. No one will ever know. There's not any single planet better than helping us facilitate this than the FBI. And they're as entrenched in this as anybody.
Oh, yeah.
No one will know. As poor as this picture is, somebody knows. And if you're watching, we'll find you. Who's next? I hate to ask you that question. That give my life, do not have to. But I know you asked yourself that question. We must recognize that we're still on the same block. We must keep our resolve for Libby and Abby, for this community, and frankly, to ensure that good trumps evil. And it will. You're going to hear more in just a minute about what we know. Do not discount the voice that you hear. will stay committed with resolve very rarely exhibited human behavior until this conclusion. Please be patient. Become partners. Communicate with us as often as you can. And now from a very humble servant. It's the most blessed guy on this planet to represent the profession that I represent. To have you in with you. It's my hope and my prayer that you're now experiencing God's promise. At this time, I would like to invite Greg Massa, Assistant Special Agent in charge for the FBI, to the podium. Good morning. As the Assistant Special Agent in charge, my role is to supervise and lead the FBI's criminal investigations across the state of Indiana. 9 days ago, we had an agent that was participating in the search for the missing victims. And from that moment until this morning, we have stood shoulder to shoulder with our law enforcement partners here. The FBI plays an important support role in this investigation. It's a joint investigation. I'm very humbled by the response that the resources that are under my direction have brought, and hopefully the contributions that we are making. On any given day, we have 20 FBI agents that are here providing investigative help, whether that's running down leads, conducting interviews, helping with lead tracking system, providing intelligence analysis support, providing technical assistance. Every night I update our FBI headquarters to our Deputy Assistant Director, and as the Superintendent mentioned, this has been briefed. We do have some new information for you today. It's in the form of an audio file from the cell phone that Liberty German had with her at the time. We're not going to play everything that we have, but Liberty had the presence of mind to turn on her video camera. Again, we're not going to be able to share everything with you, but we're going to share this audio clip with you momentarily with the hope that somebody will recognize this voice. And I want to be very clear that what you're about to hear is just 4 short words. Excuse me, 3 words. Down the hill. You're going to hear this played 4 times.
Has he said it already, Digital? Because I heard him say a video camera. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, hold on.
We do have some new information for you today. It's in the form of an audio file from the cell phone that Liberty German had with her at the time. We're not going to play everything that we have.
He said the cell phone that she had with her at the time. Okay. So you're thinking that this was a burner phone and not her phone? Is that what you're thinking? Because I'm just thinking it's her phone. And he just said that it was the phone she had on her. I don't know.
Liberty had the presence of mind to turn on her video camera. Then we're sharing this audio clip with you?
She had Becky Patty's old phone. That was the only phone that she had. That was her phone that she was using. It was an iPhone 6. Or, yeah, an iPhone 6, I think. How her phone was being kept to take to law enforcement. So what I'm assuming that you're saying here is when we people have been talking about the fact that there's rumors, and there were rumors around those very first few days that Liberty had told her friends that she was going to go to law enforcement about something. Is that what you're talking about here? So her phone, she didn't have with her. She had Becky's phone. I've never heard that, and I've never heard it described that way. I hear what he's saying. I've heard it before. He says a whole bunch in this interview that can be, I think, taken out of context or viewed differently if you're going to really do that with what he's saying. But I do think that it is possible that what you're saying is true. If the rumors of her wanting to go or take something to law enforcement, I've said before, and I've thrown this out there before, if Libby had learned that the Anthony Schatz profile she had communicated with was a catfish and that she was going to turn it in, and she told her friends about that she was going to do this, and for whatever reason somebody, be it Bridge Guy or associates, found out that she may or may not know that it was a catfish account that she had been talking to, that's motive for murder, in my opinion, because this whole CSAM ring is the largest in Indiana's history. So we know that there's a lot of players involved in this thing. So you could see how that getting exposed or getting taken to law enforcement could really make a difference. So let's go back and hear what he has to say again.
We do have some new information for you today. It's in the form of an audio file from the cell phone that Liberty German had with her at the time. We're not going to play everything again.
I think one of the things that everybody needs to glean from this, because I on Reddit, I broke this press conference down like big time. I broke it down into, I want you guys to pay attention to this guy right here and this guy. And Jerry Holman is looking over here at the FBI guy during this press conference while he's talking, while Burston's talking. And I think that there was a lot of stuff being said in the press conference that he thought that they shouldn't be revealing. I think there's another press conference with Burston in it, and it's the same kind of a thing. But you really need to watch Jerry Holman's body language and his visual, his face looks like, the looks on his face that he's giving, and how he keeps looking over like, what, dude, you're saying too much here, kind of thing. And I definitely think it happened in this press conference, and I also think it happened at the other press conference that Burston was involved in. So, because I think he likes to talk, and I do think that he wanted to say more, and I think it freaked them out that he may be revealing too much information. So let's listen.
Liberty had the presence of mind to turn on her video camera. Again, we're not going to be able to share everything with you, but we want to share this audio clip with you.
I think it's very interesting that he says video camera and not her cell phone. I mean, it's not a video camera. A video camera is a video camera. It's we all have cell phones now, and when you press video, when you want to take a video. So I've always thought that was interesting that he said that. Libby didn't have a video camera that we're aware of that day. She had her cell phone.
With the hope that somebody will recognize this voice. I want to be very clear that what you're about to hear is just 4 short words. Excuse me, 3 words. Down the hill. You're going to hear this played 4 times. The audio.
Now there, if you listen to that, that's the first thing that he screwed up, because he said 4 short words, which would have been guys down the hill. And they didn't release guys on this date. They didn't release guys for 2 more years. So that was a slip right there.
The quality is not superb, but there's enough there that somebody can recognize this person's voice. And as Superintendent Carter said, not to rationalize the line. You hear this today, and you think, my God, that sounds like fill in the blank. Call us. Make an anonymous tip. Tell us who you think it is. Let us investigate it. If it's not the right person, they'll just be out a little bit of time, and they'll be cleared, and they can go on, and they'll never know that you called. But you may tell us who the right person was, and you would be the person that helps us to solve this horrible crime. Micah, play the clip, please. Play it one more time. So that audio clip later today will be available on the Indiana State Police website. You can simply go to our website and add the extension /Delphi.htm. There will be information on that website that talks about the reward that is being collected now. Sergeant Sorkin will talk more about that, the amount of money that's been raised for solving this case. And really, money shouldn't be what drives somebody to help solve this. Just a sense of community and wanting to help and get this person off the street. The image that you see there of the suspect, that came from Liberty's phone. I think many of you have speculated that before. We weren't prepared to discuss it at the time. We have more video. We're not releasing it. It's germane to our investigation. And it's important that we spread that person's voice far and wide for somebody that will recognize who that is and will call us and tell us. I also want to tell you that there will be a tip line. There's an email tip line. I'll spell it out for you. It'll be on the website later, but if you want to copy this down.
So I do want to say something here. I do want to remind everybody that this press conference is 3 days before the search warrant is served on the Klines in Peru. Digital brought up the fact that they knew about this Anthony Shots profile within a few days, if not immediately upon finding Libby's phone. I believe that. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that they knew this. So Kelsey was not talking to Anthony Schatz. Okay, Caitlin, that is not true. What Kelsey did was she went through all the social media that she could find of her sister, and she found the Anthony Schatz profile. She saw that they had communicated, and she contacted that profile, and she asked them if he or she, whoever it was aware that the girls were missing, and if they had any idea where they would have been or had any contact with them. She said it was about a 5-minute conversation, and nothing gave her any impression out of the ordinary that this person knew where the girls were or had any idea about anything. There were no red flags or anything that went up. So that's what happened with Kelsey. Kelsey was not communicating with Anthony Schatz. So please don't put out that false information because that's not the truth. The FBI have vetted these family members immensely. They've all been polygraphed. They've all been vetted. They made sure they went through this social media stuff. I guarantee you they know who was talking to who and when. And we don't know all the particulars, but we do know that there are certain things that are being said out there that are wrong when it comes to these families. And I don't allow that on my channel. If you want to discuss that kind of stuff, there are numerous places out there that you can go do that. But I would highly, highly ask you to please not do that, because all it does is hurt these families. And they've already been through so much pain, so much heartache. They don't need it to be continually bashed upon them. It is not our places. We are not investigators. We are not supposed to be out there pointing fingers at these family members. It's the most horrific thing, in my opinion, that we can do. If law enforcement suspected these family members, they would already have them in custody. I firmly believe that. So they would have said it. And there's anywhere that they've even hinted that they believe the family is involved in this. So that's all I'm going to say on that. And I again will say this. And if you want to continue to ask questions about Kelsey, then you're going to need to go elsewhere to do that. I will answer the last question you said. Kelsey German was 16 years old when her sister was brutally murdered and disappeared. I don't know how old you are or if you've ever had a traumatic life experience or not. I'm thinking probably not, based upon the questions that you're asking about a 16-year-old girl who is responsible for taking her sister somewhere, dropping her off, being the last person to see her alive, and the guilt that she lives with every day knowing that. The fact that her sister had this happen to her, her memory is going to be all over the place. When you have something so traumatic happen, our brains protect us in so many different ways. And it's not unusual for her to have portions of her memory forgotten. It's not unusual for her memories to be different in some way. As you're talking about, why did she say there was some 20 young people at the drop-off? She didn't say that. She said that there were people out on the trails that day. She had friends that she knew that were out there. She didn't say she saw 20 people when she dropped the girls off. She did not say that. She said that there were definitely people out there because she had talked to them. And we know there were people out there. And there's been reports that there were upwards of 70 people out there. And you know what? None of that's been confirmed by law enforcement. None of it. Okay, well, you know what? Okay. So anyway, let's go on to finish talking digital about what you were trying to get into before that all happened. I'm sorry I took the moment to talk to that person. I knew I shouldn't, but I did. I'm sorry. You guys know how I am, and I'm just not putting up with it on this channel. So they did know about Anthony Shots early on. Why they acted the way they did, those are the kinds of questions that we don't know the answers to. We have no idea why they didn't pursue it, or if they did pursue it, why they would have put out the first sketch in July of 2017, which wasn't the first sketch that was done. That bothers me. That's always bothered me since day one. Why, when I found out that the first sketch drawn by witness accounts was the young bridge guy sketch, why wasn't that the first sketch that was released? Something kept them from doing that. There was something. Now, I do know that the FBI agent that went to the house, to the Kline's house, and was speaking to them after they did the initial warrant serving, where they got all of the digital equipment and everything, all the cell phones and the tablets and whatnot with the CSAM investigation. He said after that these guys were not related, or this guy was not involved in Delphi. Hey, Colette, I'm good. How are you? No problem, digital. No problem at all. So he said, the FBI guy said, and I don't remember his name. I'd have to go look it up. I do have a good memory about the case, but there are certain things like that I can't remember everyone. But I do know that it was the FBI agent that spoke after they did that warrant. And he said we don't believe he has anything to do with Delphi. I don't believe that ISP felt that way. I think that ISP and the FBI didn't always see eye to eye on this. I think when you have multi-jurisdictions involved in cases, you always have headbutting kind of going on. And I just think when we think about that, you have to, and this isn't, to point fingers at the FBI or to point fingers at Carroll County, or to point fingers at Indiana State Police either. All this is saying is that whenever you get those 3 or 2 or 4 or 5, whatever it is, jurisdictions working together, you're going to always have disagreements and differences of opinions on where things should go or what things should mean. I mean, it's hard to get 2 people to agree on things, let alone a task force of however many there were. So to me, it doesn't surprise me. Tamara, you are absolutely right. Kelsey needs comfort and understanding. She needs it desperately. I don't know if any of you heard today, but Becky put out on her personal Facebook page today, her accounts, all of them, her Facebook account, her Instagram account, and her Twitter account have all been cloned. So please make sure, if you are reading anything that has her name on it, you take it with a grain of salt. Hey, DMG. Good morning. How are things over there in Scotland? I hope good. I hope good. So I think that's one of the things that you guys need to remember. There is a lot of nefarious people that surround the Delphi case. There's a lot of people that are just trying to create chaos and to put out disinformation. And I think you need to ask yourselves why that is. Why do so many people not want to just talk about the facts that we know in the case? Why do they want to make up their own facts? Why do they want to put out stuff that they know has not been corroborated by police or by law enforcement? It's sunny and snowing. Well, it was raining. It's been raining here for 2 days, and this morning it was like 35 degrees, and we were supposed to get snow showers or flurries. I never saw them because I think it warmed up about to 37. So we didn't get any snow, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, there are so many people around this case, and I've had numerous discussions with my friends around the case, and everything about that as to why. We constantly are asking ourselves why. Why do people feel the need to go into people's live streams, jump into a chat, and try to take it over with their own narrative? What's with that? To me, that's the rudest thing that a person can do. And so, you know, I just feel that people need to really try to, at the best that you can, put yourself into the position or place of these families and how they feel about everything that's being said about them and everything that's being done. You know, this isn't a case to them. This isn't, you know, a joke. This isn't something to laugh about and have and make entertainment off of. They lost two beautiful, absolutely wonderful children to the hands of this monster. And every day, every single day, they're reminded of it. And we know that. All of us that follow this case know that. And we don't understand it because if you've never gone through it, you can't. You can't possibly know the pain. And nobody wants you to. So the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Digital did a peer review in December of 2018, January of 2019. That is when the Indiana State Police requested their assistance. For whatever reason, whether they had ran into a brick wall or they decided that they needed somebody else to come in and take a look at what they were looking at, what they had, the information that they had. And they found out a lot. And the alibi issue didn't happen then. There were issues with the alibis in the summer of 2017 because Detective Holman came out, who's the lead investigator at that time, came out and said that and there was articles written about it, that there were multiple issues with people's alibis. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I think that it's hard to fix an alibi if it can be corroborated by your job, whether it be time cards or you know, if you're you know 45 minutes away or whatever. To me, that would be something that could be easily proven. You can also determine people's whereabouts nowadays by GPS on their phones. You know, there's all different kinds of ways to figure out people's alibis and where they were or whatever. And I think that one of the problems that we have, oh yeah, it came up really soon. Yeah, it did. Because I know people are going to, say, don't mention this, don't talk about this. But that was one of the big things about the whole DP theory, because he changed his story multiple times according to what he was saying as to why he was there, what time he was there, all of that. So I think there could have been a number of people, witnesses, whomever, you know, gave up information, not necessarily alibis, but necessarily, whatever information. And hey, Jennifer, thank you, hun, for showing up. But whatever that information was, they, law enforcement realized that they had some problems. So when you've got a young, I don't know how to put it. I guess what I'm trying to say is Carroll County is a really small sheriff's office. Really small. I think we're talking 6 officers. 5 officers and a sheriff, I think, or 6 officers and a sheriff. I mean, it is so small, it's not even, it's just, the Delphi City Police is even smaller. So when you have that kind of a law enforcement department that is trying to interview and get information on an investigation to this magnitude, they had never seen a case like this before. They had never come across anything like it in any of their careers. Even Doug Carter said he'd never had anything like this, ever. And that's a big thing to admit. And so I think they were out of their league in the beginning. And I think there's, from what I understand about this digital, as far as clearing anybody, Indiana is notorious for doing things really, really close to the vest when it comes to their cases. The entire state. So when the Indiana State Police got involved in this, they put the hammer down and they said, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to release information. We want nobody talking about it. That's how they run their state in general when it comes to cases. They hold everything really close. The reporters that have been asked about this, they all have. Hey, Jennifer, thank you. I wasn't sure that I was going to do it. I wasn't positive. I was a little nervous about coming on camera, but then I thought, well, I want to make sure everybody knows that I am real, that little picture you see of me in the little round hole is really me. But yeah, I got told not to do it. It's not safe. And, people that are concerned, obviously. So anyway, I'm here and we'll see how it goes. See what happens, what flack I take afterwards. But, so yeah, I mean, they were out of their league. These guys right here, this guy here, this is the head of the Delphi city police force, city chief. And this, here's Indiana State Police. These guys are good guys. These guys, they're not bad people. I don't want people to think about these guys in that way. I just absolutely hate it that people want to throw them under the bus, because we're talking about 2 little girls. And I don't think that any of those men standing up on that stage would not want those girls to get justice. But going about it and how they do it, that's where the problem is. I mean, they don't, you know, they just didn't understand. And when Georgia got involved, when the Georgia Bureau of Investigation got involved, that is when we ended up with the 2019 press conference of the new direction. And something happened when they went through that information that told them, hey guys, you completely missed this. Why aren't you going down this path? Why are you not following this guy? Why aren't you following this person or this whatever? That's how I feel it. That's how I see it. I could be completely and absolutely wrong. In fact, I want to say something, and I'm going to put this. I'm going to say it now. I should have said it at the beginning of my live. I did put it. I will put it in my description, and it's one of the things that I'm going to start saying or whatever at the beginning of all of my videos, because it's so important to me. But that you guys all know this and understand this about me. But just as a friendly reminder, I do the best research possible before I post any of my videos or anything that I post on Reddit. Any of my lives that I do, I always do research ahead of time. But I just want you to know that the nature of these videos, it means that I rely on news outlets, speculation of investigators, journalists, family members, and I understand that all of my information that I relay may not be correct. In the case that if you find something that is sourced by a reliable source, not hearsay, not rumor, but a reliable source, please put it in my comments below the videos or the lives, or mention it in emails. Shoot me an email, because I want to correct it. I don't want false information out there on this case. It does no one any good. It doesn't do any service to the girls, to the families, or getting justice. So I in no way, Kristen, does not want to spread false information. And I won't allow false information to be spread that I know is not true. And like I said, people can call me what they want. They can throw me under the bus. I don't care. I'm here about facts. I think that they dropped the ball with the Klines early on. I definitely think they did. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I think that the Anthony Shots profile was a big, big deal. And I think that there's just too much weird stuff that was going on. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate everything you do for my channel. I love you. You're great. And it is terrible, Tech Death. It's terrible. You stop and think about all the stuff that these guys were doing when they were quote unquote in Vegas. So they go to Las Vegas. They supposedly rent a car, which I guess, you go to Las Vegas, you rent a car. And lo and behold, they find a Samsung phone that just happens to be named Kline Photography with CSAM on it, as well as browsing history with all of these really interesting things that they were looking up about Delphi and the murders, and how long does DNA remain on the bodies and on a body. You don't find that damning. I do. I've sat on a grand jury, and I'm here to tell you, if I was in a grand jury and I heard some of the stuff that they found these guys looking for that had to do with Delphi, I would absolutely say that, yeah, there's a problem here. The fact that they've got them talking to Libby, they know that, they have the proof of it. All of that stuff is very, very suspicious. And now that we're finding out more and more about the violent tendencies of Tony, and I just, I don't know what to think. I know that the stepbrother thinks that Kegan sounds like Bridge Guy. The stepsister said absolutely no way. And both of them have said it's no way sounds like Tony because he had too much of a feminine voice, really high pitched for a man. So, I mean, who knows about that part? I mean, that, it goes back to why Doug Carter said that they put out the sketch, not so much the sketch, but the video and the audio was for people who, not you and me, not Tamara, not AJ, not Lipsha, not Jennifer, none of us. This was put out for the people who actually know Bridge Guy and know who he is. Family members, friends, co-workers, the people that know him. That's why they released that. They wanted them to be able to say, hey, I know that looks like Dad, or oh my God, that looks like Uncle Fred, or whatever. So, that's what that is. And people have just gone way off the rails with it and have taken it to absolute crazy town, in my opinion. We've got people out there that have done all kinds of stuff that law enforcement asked us, please don't do it. First of all, don't do side by sides. Don't take your sketch and stick it next to somebody's picture, because a sketch is not a picture. But they do it all the time and say, oh look, he looks like Bridge Guy. Oh look, he looks like Bridge Guy. You could do that with so many people. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And law enforcement asked us not to do it. And there are so many creators out there that are doing it. And I just asked myself, what's the reason? Why are they doing that? Is it just to build a channel and get subscribers? Or what? What is their end game? So we're not going to watch any more of this. Hold on a second. I don't think we need to. We can watch, I'll put together a live where we can go through and watch. I want you guys to see the, hold on. I want you guys to see, hold on a second. What am I trying to do here? The, give me a second. I want to pull up a different picture. Just give me a minute. Let's just pull up. No. Oh, forget it. I'll go back and do this. I want to pull up a different thing. I'll do it here while I'm talking to you. But what I really wanted to say was, where's it at? I think this is really good. I'm going to leave it here for right this minute. Anyway, what I wanted to say was that we just need to back up a little bit, go back to the beginning. We need to look at why we're doing the case, why Why are we so invested in it? What is it that we want to get out of it? I want nothing but justice for these girls. I want this guy caught. I want him to face a court of law, and I want him to get the book thrown at him. I absolutely, that is what I'm here for. And I often wonder, like I said, when I see some of the stuff that goes on around this case, of why people are here and what they gain out of it. It's so sad to me, because there's so many hurtful things that are going around that are not beneficial to the case. And people can say what they want to um, about Gray Hughes. He's not, always my cup of tea. But one thing he does is he sticks to the facts in this case, and he doesn't allow people in his world, his subscribers, his channel, whatever, to spread disinformation. And I respect that, because that's the way this case is supposed to be handled. It's supposed to be handled that way. If you're going to get into true crime, it's not, to me, true crime shouldn't be for entertainment purposes. Now, I get that all of us have this weird, macabre kind of thing going on, that we all like true crime stories. I understand that, but I think you understand what I'm getting at, as far as not wanting to have it become a joke, because it's not. These families, these victims are real people. We're not talking about fantasy here. And because of that, one of the things that I have always said in this case is how we choose to tell their story matters. It absolutely matters. And we have a choice in how we do that. We all have our ideas, Mandy, all of us. And one day we are going to find out if our ideas are right or wrong. I get asked it all the time. Kristen, who's your POI? Who do you think did this? I don't have one. I don't think I have enough information to have one. I don't know enough. I don't know how the girls died. I don't know what the crime scene looked like. I don't know all the witnesses, who was all at the bridge and the trails that day. We don't know. We've never been told by law enforcement who was all out there that day. We don't know. And without all of the information, for me personally, it's hard for me to want to point fingers. All I'm going, as far as I will go right now, is to say that I firmly believe that Tony Kline and Kegan Kline have something to do with this case. And I think that it could possibly be something that they could end up being charged for obstruction of justice for, or something even more. And that's what I will say. I think the evidence is pointing to that. I don't believe for a moment that in December, when law enforcement released the Anthony Shots information to us, that was an accident. I don't believe it was to do harm. I don't believe it was to try to throw people off. They were looking for people who have interacted with Anthony Shots, with that profile. They need that information so they can break an alibi. And I believe that. I think it's possible they've already broken one alibi in the situation. I think that we know that they're kind of alibying for each other. And one of the things that I learned early on when I started doing investigative kind of work around cases is that if you don't have an accurate timeline, you don't have anything, because you have to have an accurate timeline to know which direction to even go in. And I'm not even sure that we, the public, Joe Public here, knows what the timeline is. We don't, in my opinion. And that is because the only way at this point in time today that we know what the timeline is on this case is from Becky Patty and Kelsey. Because they're the ones who said, this is what happened that day. Kelsey picked up the, took the girls, did this, did this, did this. Law enforcement has never come and told us anything except for it was all over by 3:30. And that bridge guy stayed with the girls longer after they were killed for about 20 minutes. So they know that for some reason. They really know that. But there's so much in between in that timeline, guys, that we don't know about, that it's really, really difficult for us to actually say for fact that we know that this is true. And that's why I think we have to be careful. And it's fine to question it. It's fine to sit here and discuss it with each other. I think we should. I think it doesn't do any disservice at all to I wonder, I just realized I don't have my AirPod in. Just realized that. So from what I've heard, Digital, that came from the coroner. That's all I know. I don't know if that's true. Like I said, it's rumor. We've never had anything verified. So, yeah. There's a lot of like I said, there's so much misinformation. And everybody knows that if you say something enough and you've got enough people playing telephone and talking about it, eventually it becomes quote unquote fact. And that's why we just have to be so, so careful. So careful. The location on my subreddit, I told you guys about, hold on, I'll show you. If you really want to look at a detailed timeline of the case, I highly recommend this one. Hang on, it's coming up. This is the one that I go by. And this is the timeline, and it breaks everything down. Everything down. So, on this timeline, like at 10 a.m., it talks about how the girls slept in. They had been up late. Libby's father, Derek, makes them pancakes for breakfast. Everything is sourced. When you click on these, it takes to who told you or where did this information come from. So I don't know. I do know, Digital, that the coroner was 20 years old. In the state of Indiana, you don't have to be a medical person to be a coroner. And obviously, you just have to be 18 years or older, because their coroner at the time the girls were killed was 20 years old. And from what I gather, when he left the coroner's office after the murders, it was a disarray and a mess, which that doesn't surprise me in the least bit. So here it goes. Libby's grandmother, Becky, makes a deal with the girls. She says if the girls will help her filing work, she'll give them some spending money and maybe later on take them to the mall to go shopping. And the girls were happy, and they were helping her do the filing. And at 12 o'clock is when that vehicle supposedly is parked at the abandoned CPS building, okay, next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway. And at 1 o'clock, the girls asked Liberty's grandmother, Becky, if they could go to the Monon High Bridge. They were done with their filing. And Becky says yes, but only if they were able to arrange for a ride there and a ride back. And so if you guys go to, like I said, I'm not trying to get people to subscribe to my Reddit, but I'm just saying you don't have to. You can just go into my sub and you can read the very first post, like I showed you guys. If you're not familiar with Reddit, on how to do that, if you just go into Delphi's Daughters, and the link to that is on my YouTube channel up at the top. On my banner, you'll see my Delphi's Daughters Reddit, the little Reddit thing. You just click on it and it'll take you right there. But anyway, it's right here. The very first top pinned post. Welcome to Delphi's Daughters. You'll find everything you need to know in this post about the subreddit and actually the case. There's so much information in there. But click on that, and you guys, if you're looking for as detailed of a timeline as I could find, that was it. Oh, thanks, Danny. It's so nice to see you. So nice to see you. So glad that you guys joined me. It's been a long one. I didn't expect to go this long, and I apologize. But because I know sometimes it's hard to hang in there. But yes, we do, Jennifer. We know that he was with them at 2:13. We absolutely know that. Police have come out now and told us that. So we know that Bridge Guy was with them at 2:13. And so I just I still say that there's a lot we don't know. There's a lot that is misconstrued, and I just know that one day, as Doug Carter told us, we will figure it out. They will be able to tell us exactly what happened. And we're going to all probably be shocked about what we find out. So, no, nobody from law enforcement has ever said that. That came from the coroner said it. I believe it was the coroner's report, and I think that might have been the leaked Dave Erskine texts that actually said that it was all over by 3:30. So, but with that being said, I think Kim Riley may have alluded to it. I don't remember that, so I would have to go back and search my notes, because Kim Riley and Dave Burston are two of the Indiana State Police officers who have always wanted to say more about this case. It is very apparent when you look at those gentlemen, when they're talking, they want to give more information. Those two guys, in my opinion, and again, watch body language when they're being interviewed and the things that they're saying. And if you really, really want to watch that, you need to go look at that full video with Burston when Holman is absolutely losing his shit on stage. I'm serious. He is so upset. I mean, he just keeps looking like, man, be quiet. Don't say that. We know you're giving out too much information. I mean, it was just really, I did a whole post about it on my sub about that. So, but anyway, I'm going to pull up one of these, today's the days. And we can leave it there. But it is important. I'm so glad that you guys are all here and you stuck with me tonight. My live last night was a little kind of crazy and shook up. I had a couple of different issues. I got extremely emotional and ended up crying. And then I had a full-blown asthma attack in the middle of my live. And that was crazy. And I felt so bad. But you know what? I didn't lose any viewers. They just stuck with me. And I thought that was super wonderful. And I just appreciate all of you so much that I never thought that anybody would want to come to my channel and listen to me talk about this case or any of the other cases that I'm covering. And there are some really interesting ones. just so you guys know, I did introduce the new case that I am covering now, Kimberly Raymer. She was a 17-year-old female, obviously, who went missing from her bedroom at her father's house in 1998. And she has in OPP, Alabama. She has never been found. And her case is there's so many parallels and similarities to the girls because of it being such a small town. One parent lived in Alabama, the other parent lived right across the border in Florida, and because that's the panhandle there of Florida, and it's just crazy. Her story is crazy. So I hope you guys will follow along with that one, because I feel so bad for her mother and her father. Um, oh, Lipsha, you are so nice. I couldn't believe it. I really did get emotional and cried for the very first time on my live, and I didn't know that I would do that, and I'm glad you guys stuck with me. So, but I'm going to go ahead and end my stream. You guys have been fantastic. I appreciate my mods hanging around. It's been a long one. But I love all of you guys. And I'll talk at you later.